They said the river never forgets. That it remembers every life it has taken, and every secret buried beneath its dark waters. The river was the heart of Umuaka village. Every morning, women came with woven baskets on their heads, men cast their nets for tilapia, and children splashed near the shallows, laughing freely. To the people, the Oma River was a blessing, generous and unending. But every blessing has a shadow. Long ago, the elders said, the river was sealed with an ancient covenant, a bond made to protect the village during a famine. In exchange for life and food, the river demanded remembrance. It would always take one soul every 10 years, to remind the living who held the power. Most thought it was just a myth, until the disappearances began to line up like clockwork. That year, the rains came early. The river swelled higher than it had in decades, swallowing farmlands, drowning the yam mounds, and creeping dangerously close to the village square. Nnamdi was 22, tall, restless, and skeptical. He didn't believe in ghost stories. He believed in reason, in what he could see and touch. His younger brother Chika, only 16, believed everything, that the river could speak, that it could bless or curse, that the spirits beneath its surface kept count of who lived and who died. One evening, while the sky still blushed cold, Chika went to fetch water. Their mother, Mama Ebra, warned him not to go. The sun was setting, and the river's call was strongest at dusk. He laughed. "Mama, I'll be back before the crickets start singing." He never came back. By nightfall, only his half-filled bucket drifted to shore, spinning lazily in the current. That night, Nnamdi sat by the window, staring at the swollen river glimmering under the moonlight. The frogs croaked louder than usual, and the wind carried the scent of wet earth. Then he heard it, faint, watery, and close. A voice, barely human. "Return what was taken." He froze. The whisper seemed to rise from the river itself, traveling through the still air, calling around his name like smoke. His heart pounded as the beads hanging from the doorframe, his mother's protective charm, began to rattle softly. He ran to his mother's room. She was awake, sitting by a dying candle, eyes red from tears. "Chika's gone," Nnamdi said. "But the river, it spoke, Mama. It said something about returning what was taken." Her face went pale. "You heard it?" When he nodded, she covered her mouth. "Then it has begun again." At dawn, Nnamdi went to the river despite the elders' warnings. The villagers watched him go, no one dared follow. They believed that when the river called a name, it was best not to answer. He waded into the shallows. The water was warm, unnaturally warm. Beneath the surface, something gleamed, a rusted chain, tangled with tiny brown beads. His heart stopped. They looked just like his mother's. When he returned home, he stormed into the hut. "Where did this come from?" Mama Ebra looked at the chain, and tears filled her eyes. "Your father," she whispered. "The river took him when you were 5. "What do you mean took him?" "He drowned, but not by accident. He was chosen. I couldn't bear to lose you and your brother, so I went to the river priestess. I begged her for mercy." Her voice trembled. She said the river could return what it had taken, but only if I made a vow, that when the river called again, I would give it one soul in return. Nnamdi's stomach twisted. "You made that vow? Mama, you promised the river one of us." Her silence was the only answer he needed. That night, the wind shifted. The frogs stopped croaking. The whole village seemed to hold its breath. Then came the whispers again, louder now. Not one voice, but many. Nnamdi. Nnamdi. He grabbed a lantern and marched toward the river, rage and fear tangled in his chest. At the bank, the air was thick and electric. The moonlight shimmered off the water, and the surface rippled, not from wind, but from movement underneath. "Take me," he shouted. "If you want a soul, take mine, but bring back my brother." The river began to churn. Waves rose higher and higher though the night was still. Then, something broke the surface. Two figures emerged from the misty water, one small, limp, and gasping, Chika, and behind him, a taller figure, pale and hollow-eyed. His father. Nnamdi's knees gave out. "Papa." The ghostly figure looked at him with sadness, his voice like wind through leaves. "The river never forgets, my son. But sometimes, it forgives." He turned to the water. "A debt must be paid. But mercy remembers too." Then, without another word, he stepped back and dissolved into the rippling surface. When dawn broke, the villagers found Nnamdi kneeling on the riverbank, clutching Chika, who was alive but shivering. The river was calm, clearer than it had ever been. Birds sang again. The elders said the river had accepted its offering, and granted peace, for now. But Nnamdi knew better. He knew the river didn't forgive forever. It only rested. That night, as he sat by the window with his brother sleeping nearby, he heard it again, soft and almost gentle this time. "I remember." The sound came not from the river, but from within the house. From the rusted chain now hanging on the wall. He stared at it, and for the first time, he realized the river's memory didn't just live in the water. It lived in the people it touched. From then on, the people of Umuaka fetched their water before dusk. They spoke to the river with reverence. And every 10 years, when the moon turned full and the wind fell silent, they left offerings at its bank, not because they feared it, but because they understood it. For the river that remembers, also waits.